So after 10 hours of fighting, I stomped upstairs and slept in my guest bedroom. How many married people ever, you don't have to put your hand up, spent a night in the guest bedroom? And let me tell you why. But before I do, you're here for a reason, because I'm suspecting how many of you are busy at the end of your day and you look back and you're like, what did I really get done? Anyone ever do that? Show of hands. Awesome. And how many of you are business owners here? Great. And how many of you are employees? You're developers? Hands real high. Thank you. Usually I talk to business owners. I help them with systems to be more productive. But today I'm going to share a little bit about my background and why it works for developers that are employees too. Good? So I am a business productivity expert. I help people with systems, not necessarily technology systems, but processes, procedures, methods, get more done. And the reason I do this is I want you to have a life. I want you to go home and enjoy this great state. This is my first time in Little Rock. I had no idea you had such great state parks and just so much to do. This is a really cool place. Who's a native? Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'd like to come back. It's been really cool. And so many fun events. So what I do is I spent almost 2 decades with IBM and Ernst & Young and Capgemini. I put in SAP software. I was a developer myself. And what I found, would it be okay if I share a little bit of my background? Okay, so I just got back from speaking in Utah. And I shared the stage. Anyone ever hear of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that book? Anyone read it? It's a great book. Write that down if you haven't read it. So I shared the stage with Sharon Lechter, who was one of Rich Dad, Poor Dad's advisors. And she got up there and she told her story about how one of her business partners stole millions of dollars from her. And in the speaking world, we call this under the bridge and broke. It's like having this amazing story where you're just so down and then you're able to come up and everyone cheers for you. You're the hero. Then the next guy got up. His name is Dan Clark. This guy got to go out almost to the moon and see the earth. He won 5 awards from National Speakers Organization. But one day he was paralyzed. The right half of his body, he couldn't move, and they told him he'd never walk again. And 14, 15 months later, he got up and walked. And then there was this other guy. His name was Steve Jennings. He was a ball player, and he got in this really bad car crash, and the paramedics just left him for dead because they thought he was dead, and then somebody saw him twitch, and they brought him back to life. So I called my husband. I'm like, my stories are ordinary. Who wants to be a speaker here? Get up here at the tech conferences? You guys should all think about it because you've all got gifts that people need. So I call my husband, and I'm like, God, my stories are so boring. And being husband-like, he says, how about the one when your dad died? When you came home from school and didn't know about it, and I found out my dad died. It's true, but I'm like, well, everyone knows someone who dies. That's kind of boring. So he gets in husband mode, and he goes, how about your first fiance who emptied your bank account when you're in MBA school and opened up 5 credit cards in your name? That's a really bridge under the, broke story. I'm like, no, that was kind of embarrassing. So he's like, wait, I got one. So do you guys allow guns here in Arkansas? What's so funny about that? Okay, so I married a Texan. My first husband was a Texan. And he came home one day, and my current husband says, tell him the one about the Texan. And he came home one day and said, I've fallen in love with a waitress at work, and I want a divorce. Yeah, that's what I said. 3 weeks later, he got served with the papers, comes over, big old Texan, and says, I was wrong. I want to be with you. And by then, I'm like, no, I'm done. He goes to the closet, reaches up, and pulls out a gun and points it at me and himself. I didn't even know we had a gun in the house. So my husband's like, that's a really good story. Who can't relate to having a gun pulled on him? So my husband's pulling up, all my crap. And I said, no. And he goes, okay, sweetie, just tell him, just be you. I said, okay, so here's my story. I was in IBM for 16 years. I put in systems. I was a developer, and I loved it. I served 21 companies. Like, who's ever heard of AIG Insurance? Yeah, you've heard of that one. How about Shell Oil, Caterpillar, Applebee's, Office Max? All these were my amazing clients. And what I found is I got to go home at the end of the day, every day, while my coworkers at all levels were working longer and later. And I'm like, what's going on? How come I can go home and they don't? Maybe I'm not doing my work enough. And then I would hear them like pick up the phone and call their kids and cancel on their games and their recitals. Who's ever had to cancel on someone because of work? Put your hand high. It sucks and it messes up your kids forever. I can tell you exactly what my parents missed, and I'm 50 years old. Who else can tell you what your parents missed? And the worst part, the turning point was at Halloween. So right about this time, I saw somebody cancel on Halloween for 2 kids. And their kids were just bawling so loud on the phone I could hear it. And that was my turning point. I said, I know something that can help other people. How many of you, hands real high, know something that can help somebody else? Everyone's hand, come on, you guys all know something. When we have that gift, and we all have the gift, it's our job to share that. So I quit my job 2 years ago at 48. I launched my own business consulting company. What I do is I just help people get things done more easily. So today I want to give you 3 tips. So even though whether you're a business owner or not, these are 3 tips that are so easy because I want you to go home and have fun. I don't want you to work until midnight, unless you want to, that's okay. But if you really want to enjoy life, I'm going to share this with you, cool? So audience participation, why do you think you don't get out on time? Just raise your hand. Why don't you get home on time? Interruptions, number one thing that we teach, how to avoid interruptions. Thank you, great answer. Yes? Overcommitting, who doesn't like to say no? This is the South, right? You guys all have big hearts? You got to say no sometimes, yes, overcommitting. Who else? Come on, guys, I know it's the end of the day. Prizes are next. Changes. Oh my God, I can't believe when I was a developer how many people you think you built what they wanted and then you give it to them and they thought it was going to look something different, right? Okay, one more and then I'll teach you 3 things. Who else has got a really big one? Deadlines. They're unrealistic, right? Or then they change. Who said that over there? Thank you. Awesome. So I'm going to teach you 3 things. Number 1, and I'm going to teach you a story. So the reason I stomped up, it was just 5 weeks ago. Labor Day weekend, I'm in my living room preparing for a client power day. That's when a CEO comes to my house in the mountains in Denver. We work together to map out their strategies, their systems, operations, sales, marketing, whatever. I'm sitting on the couch, and I kept hearing these noises, which is not unusual because we live in the mountains, so I hear deer, elk, lions, bears, they all come around, trying to tune it out. And just then my husband says, did you see that? A chipmunk just ran across our floor. Who's ever had a critter in their house? A lot of people, huh? How about girls? Girls, have you ever had a critter in your house? So the way it works in my house, we have an agreement. If it's alive, my husband takes care of it. Once it's dead, I scoop it up because I know what I'm getting. It's dead. Nothing's going to happen. So we have this agreement. So my first thought is, I hope he didn't bring any friends, right? Just one critter is enough. And my second thought is, I hope we don't freak it out and it starts pooping around the house because I didn't want to clean that up. So he goes and gets peanut butter and sunflower seeds. We learned that's what these critters eat. And he lays it on those sticky traps, and he lays a few of those out. And in just a few seconds, I look up, and just in time to see the little square mat get carried into our master bedroom. And I'm like, yeah, that was easy. And he was busy, so I agreed to go get it. And I picked up the dustpan, went into my master bedroom, thinking I would just scoop that thing up and let it outside. That was the start of my 10-hour downfall, for sure. So, I just learned this. So it's not that unhumane to put them on the sticky notes because you can spray Pam, that stuff you cook your eggs with, and then the critters can wiggle away. So next time you catch a critter, you can be humane and let it outside. So rule number 1 that I totally break, and I teach this stuff, I know better. Do the most important things first. Write that down in your job. Do the most important things first. What happens when you don't focus on the most important things? Your day gets ahead of you, and you look back, and you're busy but not productive. So it's really important to track your time. Your time is an equalizer, no matter where you are in the organization. We all have the same amount of time. And how many people, by show of hands, have a to-do list? Okay, can you guys tear that out or delete it, crumble it all up, and toss it away? What you need is a priority list. It's about the order you get things done. When you have a to-do list, most people just start at the top and then do the next thing and do the next thing. Who knows what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's not the right way to do it because then you just focus on what comes to your mind. You need a priority list. So when I work with business owners, I actually tell them what to do every day so they just wake up and look at the plan. But I made a special chart for you guys. Kind of a 2x2. Let me bend it this way. It's a 2x2 matrix. Really simple thing you guys can do yourself to do this, and you could take a picture. Did you get it? Okay. Real simple. All you do is you have important two graphs or 2 axes: important, non-important, urgent, and not urgent. And the quadrant of ease, as I call it, is working on important things that aren't urgent, because then you work at your own pace, you work with your own flow. When you're working on important things that are urgent, and these happen, right? You're in testing mode or you're in go live mode and things break and you have to fix them. But if you could spend most of your time, think of how easy it would be to just work when you're working on important things that aren't urgent. Where you don't want to be is not important, not urgent. This is just a waste of your time. It wastes your employees' money, it wastes your time, and then you don't get things done. So that's my tip number 1. Try to stay with things that are urgent. Okay, so to continue on with the chipmunk saga. So I'm not sure how it got in here exactly. So I want to watch the door to make sure I see it exit and it doesn't have any more friends coming in. So I sit on the bathtub in my master bedroom where I could see the doorway. And I sat there for 30 minutes doing nothing because I didn't want to miss it. And being a productivity expert, I decide I'm going to multitask. So I go get my computer and I bring it in, and I'm trying to type and prepare for my day while I'm also looking up to see if it comes in and out. I did that for an hour. It was hurting my butt sitting on that tub and very ineffective. So now I decide I'm going to go sit outside in the lounge chair because at least my feet can be up and I can type and it's more comfortable. But what I found, every 15 minutes I was getting up and pressing my face against my glass to see if I saw the chipmunk. How many of you ever started something thinking, this won't take this long, I can do it myself? You're smiling, right? Or Facebook, you're like, I'll just go check a few of my Facebooks. Do they like my stuff? Do they like my stuff? And you keep going back, right? Or Twitter, whatever your favorite tool is. That was me. I did that for 2 more hours. So write down violation number 2. Ready? Work on one thing until it's done. Just one thing until it's done. So for 1 is make sure you work on important things. Number 2, keep going until it's done. I'm going to give you 2 tips to do this. So how many of you know that finishing brings happiness? Yeah, absolutely. The more things you have unfinished, that's when you get overwhelmed because you keep thinking about, I got to do this and this and this and this. So you want more happiness? Finish more things. That is the secret. Really, really simple. Let me share a couple ways to do this. Chunking, chunking, and the 50-10 sprint system. So you want to write that down, chunking and 50-10. How many of you during your day start on one thing, and then you go check an email, and then you make a phone call, and then you check your code, and then you go get a cup of coffee, and then maybe go to the bathroom, and then come back. Like, you are all over the place. Write this down. Don't do that anymore. You need to chunk your activities together. So you're working on certain activities that are very similar in nature. So get all your emails done. Get all of your code. Do your testing, your follow-up, whatever. Chunk things together, and then you go sprint. The 50-10 sprint. You're going to set your watch or your timer or your computer clock for 50 minutes, 5-0. Pick a chunk of tasks and work on that deliberately for 50 minutes. How many of you work from home? Anybody get to work from home? Yeah, nice luxury, huh? Thank you. No? I love working from home. When you do this, you don't get up and go visit your kids or walk your dog or move your laundry from one machine to the other or go get a cup of, you don't even get a snack. So 50 minutes heads down on whatever task you choose to work on. As soon as the timer goes off, you take a break and you get up from your desk and you walk over, and whether it's saying hi to a coworker, coffee, water, stretch, walk around the building, just keep working in 50-10 chunks all day, and you are going to be amazed. My goal in my company is to gain back 1 hour a day for the people I work with, just 1 hour. And that's 20 hours a month. Can you imagine what you can do with that? Maybe take more 3-day weekends. If you're a business owner, maybe hit more of your kids' games. I mean, just 1 hour a day. That's minimum. So these two totally work. Now, I've only got time because we ran a little bit late to give you a few tips, but if you want more, if you go to Nancy Gaines, that's NancyGaines.com/VIP, I put together 11 tips and tricks you can do, just like this. I love simple. Who else likes simple? Simple is awesome. Simple lets you get things done easily. I help people fit their business to fit their lifestyle so you can have more time in your day. So I want to ask you guys, I just realized developers are really close to entrepreneurs. Who agrees with me? Because we all want to be like, I'll be really honest. I've noticed that people up here are quite honest when they get their microphone. We want to be the superstars. We want it to be our idea, right? We want to save the day. We want to create really cool stuff. Entrepreneurs are the same way. And we get shiny objects. We're like, oh, kind of like that. Did anybody go hear Tate yesterday with Code? What did he call it? Codeaholic? Toolaholic? Yeah, Toolaholic. It's like, wait, let me try this. Let me try this. And what happens is you get away from the 50-10 sprint system and you don't get what's done. And by the end of the day, when you want to get out of there to do whatever you do in your evening, you can't. So that's the other thing, too. So NancyGaines.com/VIP, you can do it on your phone and get 11 more things. Okay, so back to the chipmunk. So now I'm just like pissed off at myself and embarrassed that I'm chasing this little chipmunk and it's smarter than me. And I'm thinking, why doesn't it just run out? Like, here's the exit, here's the answer, and it's not doing it. So I decided to trick it. I lift everything off my bedroom floor, so there's nothing it can hide behind. So I'm lifting up shoes and yoga mats and weights and plants and anything and piling it on my bed. And I'm thinking, this is so dumb, because I'm going to have to put all this away later. Like, really silly. But I was going to fake out this chipmunk, so it had to run out. Then I decide, why don't I get the drawers under my dresser, just because you can't really see them. You know how there's that little space? So I start pulling out the 2-bedroom dresser drawers, and I noticed all my ski socks fell down there. Does anybody ever overstuff your drawers? And as you're putting more stuff in the front, it's like falling out the back, and you don't even know that? Oh, here's the one thing I did learn. Do you know the number one thing men can't find in the morning? Socks. Matching socks. I just read that statistic. Is that true, guys? Oh, okay. And the number one thing women can't find, ladies? Yeah. So anyway, I found my socks and my keys, by the way. And I'm down there, and as I start to, there's like 5 pair. And as I start to lean over and pick them up, I see this bushy tail. And again, I'm like, yes, I've got it. So I was hesitant just to put my hand down there and pick up those socks. I don't know much about chipmunks other than watching them. And I tell my husband, can you please bring in the big long barbecue thongs or tongs? Tongs? Flip over your hot dogs? Tongs? So I'm leaning over one at a time, picking up the sock, putting it on the bedroom, picking up the sock. And I'm down to the last one. I'm just so excited because I know I'm going to pull that sock away and it's going to run out the open door, because in our bedroom we have a door that faces a porch. And I'd be done with this and I can get back to work. Just as I'm reaching the last sock, I lift it up. It runs, I scream, and it doesn't go out the door. And I'm like, this has got to be the dumbest chipmunk ever. And of course, I scraped myself too, because I jumped back and hit it on the drawers, which is silly because I knew it was there and it shouldn't have scared me. And so now I'm just like mad. This is where I stomped up and slept in the guest bedroom, because I was just done with this whole thing and mad at myself and figured I'd figure it out in the morning. So rule number 3, hire experts. Hire experts. And this works for you guys whether you're an employee or a business owner. On your weekends, and I'm guessing you guys are probably really well paid. You're here, you're smart, you get a lot of money. Don't be cutting your own grass or doing your own grocery shopping or cleaning your own house. Pay somebody to do that who enjoys that kind of work and spend that time with your family. You know, you're already working a lot of hours. Pay somebody to do that stuff. It's totally worth it. Does anyone here want to be a millionaire at some point? Some future millionaires, maybe you're already. They make $524 an hour. So business owners, if you're doing tasks that are less than $524, you should be paying somebody so you can focus on what you do. Coders, developers, you guys should be doing what you're good at. So do you know why I got to go home so early when I worked for IBM? I traded a lot. I knew what I was really good at, which was not ABAP coding. Is ABAP even a code still? Okay, that wasn't my thing. I was really good at making reports. I was really good at writing PowerPoint presentations that don't have funny pictures for developer conferences. I was just really good at that. So I would find somebody and say, hey, will you do this part of my job in exchange for this? Because I knew both of us would get it done faster. I was at a different seminar, and they say a lot of developers go online to look something up to learn something. So I would drop your ego and just go find a friend who already knows this and get it done so much faster so you can both go home and do something. Who can do this? Yeah, you guys should really, who can do 50-10 and chunking? Is anyone willing to try that? Yeah, I want to hear from you when this works. Nancy@nancygaines.com is my email. Send me an email because I want to brag about you next time I'm at a tech conference. So rule number 3, and I've got prizes, so hopefully you're taking good notes. I've got a couple books up here and a CD for anyone that answers the question. So to finish the Operation Chipmunk, next morning I get up and I'm like, that chipmunk is not getting me again. You know, I got to be smarter than the chipmunk. And as I started spending 2 hours putting away all the stuff on my bed, I'm like, it had to run out because I had the door open the whole time and I was in and out. So I'm putting everything away and I get down to the sheets. And since I already cleaned my room, I'm thinking I should just wash the sheets just in case. So I pull back the bedspread. I pull back the blanket. I'm just about to pull back that top sheet. And there's a chipmunk in the middle of my bed, looking at me. I scream, it runs, not out the door again. So I look at those sheets, and there's like poop on my sheets in 3 different places. I think it slept there all night. So my practical side says, just wash them twice in hot water, no big deal. My girly side says, ew, I'm never sleeping on those sheets again. So I scooped them up and threw them in the garbage. And got online at Amazon. I had new sheets the next day. But the thing is, I call my husband. I'm like, we need a system, because what I teach is systems, because systems work every single time. They're repeatable, they're predictable. The more systems you have in your day for your email, for your scheduling, for your coding, the easier your life is. So we built this system. We pull out our skis, and we built like this tiny path. There was only one way for the chipmunk to go out. And then I got a yardstick. Does anybody know what a yardstick is? Like, I don't even know why we have a yardstick, but we have a yardstick. Maybe to measure the snow in Denver. So we get this thing set up, and Jed, my husband, propped the door just wide enough so it couldn't really get out. And we propped the door, and he put something up there. I got the yardstick, started poking the thing. Finally, it runs out. I'm cheering. I'm all excited that it's done. He's trying to close the door so it doesn't come back in, forgetting that he jammed something up there. Anybody, ladies, ever watch your husband like do something and you know it's all wrong? And you just can't tell them? So finally he knocks it off. We close the door. We have to do the little, chipmunk dance in our house. We're all excited. And I'm like, yes, systems worked again. So my lesson learned is you need more systems for that. So, wow, that's a quick story, huh? So my last tip to you, again, is just to find experts to trade stuff with, because it makes so much more sense when you do that. So I'm going to do a little quiz to see how you guys were paying attention. Has this been kind of helpful? I didn't want to overload you with a bunch of stuff. You can always get the report at nancygaines.com/VIP. But are these little tidbits? Can you guys see how you can get back an hour in your day? So let me see. I'm going to ask you, what would you do with 1 more hour in your day?
Probably pick up a video game.
Okay, video game. Who else would pick up a video game? That's great. You got to recharge. What would you do with 1 more hour? Work on a hobby. Who would like more time with their hobbies? This stuff is so easy, guys. I don't know what you were expecting, but all I did was repackage stuff you probably already know. So I'm going to give away a few prizes. This is probably for only business owners should vote for this. This is how to get free publicity for your company from like ABC, NBC, CBS. I wrote this really short book. It's actually a bathroom book is what I call it. It's quick read. So any business owners, where are your business owners? Okay, so the question is, how many companies did I serve at IBM? It's the same as the moonshine age. But you got to put your hand up because I don't know. Yes. 21. Yes, give him a hand. Okay, this one's my bestseller book about inspirational stories. And the question is, I better make this harder. What's the name of the sprint? Yes. Chunking? That's half the sprint. What's the sprint name? I got to give it to him. I saw your hand up there. Maybe you can pass it on after him. I'll sign that later if you like. Very cool. How many of you want to come back next year and be a speaker? I would love to see more speakers here. It's an awesome chance to showcase your talent, and it's really not that hard. I know a lot of people were in the lobby making their slides just before their stuff. It's really a forgiving group. And if you've got something to share, you definitely got to share it. So think about it. I know Paul can help you get started for next year, right? Paul and Shell, you guys want to raise your hand? We're always looking to expand this, and remember to tweet that out. So I'm going to leave you with just a closing remark. Oh, we have one more prize. This is for people that listen to podcasts. Does anyone listen to podcasts? Awesome. Have you heard of John Lee Dumas? No? How about... Okay, well, these are some of the best of the best. I can't believe people said yes to me. This is really a fun podcast. I need a question. What was I chasing? Was that too easy? Whose hand? First hand that goes up. You. There you go. Enjoy that. Okay, so I gave you just a few pieces of tidbit. I know we're going to go have some amazing prizes. Did you guys go visit the vendors? You've got a few minutes left to do that. I think there's really cool stuff. I just want to give one more big round of applause to the people that put together the Little Rock Tech Fest and the vendors. If you're a vendor or put together, put your hand up one more time. Can you guys give them one more big round of applause? Yeah. This has just been amazing, and I'm going to go ahead and tag that picture with our hashtag, the Little Rock Text Fest 2016. Can you share it out and say what a great time you had here so we can pack? Like maybe we need a fourth room or something next year. I think it'd be really cool to get the word out and get us on the map. Cool? Thank you. I'm Nancy Gaines. I'll be in the hallway if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.